Tebo? Tebo. All right, we ready? Tebo, take it away.
Hello. How can you? Oh, can you hear me? How's everyone doing? I'm doing good. My name's Tabo, founder of Nomadic Voices. We started our platform, our media, about a year and a half ago during the pandemic, during quarantine. We started hosting open mic nights around parks, and every week or so we go to a different park hosting open mic nights. And through that, we found out that creativity, culture is what really brings people together. We try to create a safe and creative environment for everyone. And I started writing out poetry. So today I want to thank everyone here and for inviting me and letting me speak a couple of my pieces that I have done before. The first piece I want to recite is a poem I wrote for the New Year's celebration in downtown Utica. I wrote this piece and due to what has happened in 2020, the pandemic, quarantine, all that stuff, and the possible hopes for a brighter tomorrow, I guess. This piece is called What's Next? We gathered today in this cold weather, shivering and drinking all together. But it's moments like these that bond us for the better. Moments like these that we realize that things are not so bad. I hear kids' laughter, filled with innocence. I see adults chatter about their diligence. I notice that our beautiful little city continues to flourish despite what outsiders think, because our city is more than just Utica. It is a place where tomato pies and chicken riggies are made, a place where refugees can feel safe, a place where just thousands reside, but thousands online. And tonight we have all congregated on the streets of Genesee, from boomers to millennials and to Gen Z. As we wait for the 3, 2, 1 countdown, the building lights up for a brighter tomorrow, and it shines for a brighter new year. It shines because we have finally made it through, and now we are just moments away from 2022. So we reflect on all of our mistakes, and we realize what was played, because all of what it takes to break through is ourselves. And we have accomplished our goals, fulfill our dreams, and sometimes we want more just to fill our needs. But we must live, not just for happiness, but for appreciation. We must strive, not just for success, but for togetherness. We must not be afraid to take risk, because when the new year opens a new door, it will open for more opportunities waiting to unfold, for more memories waiting to just mold, for more stories waiting to be told. So cheers to the new year, but there is no new me. Only a version that's constantly being chipped to be the best person it can be, because we all know that we all have our own flaws. We have all made mistakes, and we have all done wrong. We also have what it takes to keep persevering for a better day. We must tell ourselves that we can make the city a better place, the world a better place, so others can rejoice, kids can enjoy. Regardless of the noise, we can all be happy with ourselves that we have given our best. We have done everything that we can, but now we must all ask ourselves, what is next? Thank you. That was my first piece. Thank you. So as some of you may know, I tend to be very optimistic and whatnot, but I also appreciate my culture, but also appreciate the fact that I get to be here and celebrate Black History Month with everyone here. I've always advocated for togetherness because at the end of the day, we're all human beings, realistically. So I try to advocate for that, and we all have our differences, but it's what that commonality is what brings us together. And I wrote this piece. I believe I recited this last year, but I'm gonna recite it again, and it's titled "A Brighter Light." I don't remember much when I first came to America, other than throwing a tantrum in the plane. But even at 4 years old, I looked over that window pane and I seen the bright lights, and I wondered what my new home would be like. Little did I know that my life would change forever. From the jungles to the snow, from the monkeys to the deers, from the bamboo houses to a warm apartment that had a heating system. with a nice rug and furnitures. My parents always told me to appreciate it. Appreciate that we don't have to run no more because we are no longer in a civil war. Appreciate that you have shoes on your feet because when we were running from the soldiers, we had mud on our toes. Appreciate that you can clean yourself with a warm shower and not to be cleansed because of your ethnicity. Appreciate that you was born in a refugee camp and not in the middle of the mountains because only God knows what would have happened if they caught us. Appreciate that we ran from those soldiers so you can run to your dreams. The dreams of liberty, the dreams of living, the dreams of liberty, the dreams of being American. Because what makes being American great is not the corporations, but the cooperations of different identities, backgrounds, and cultures. What makes America great is that you and I are not the same, but we have the opportunity to understand each other. What makes America great is that even I, a Korean refugee, can come here in a virtual environment and share his stories. Because maybe through that, through sharing, through listening, and maybe through art, through creativity, through expression and understanding, maybe then we will all realize that we are just one big family. Thank you. That's my second piece. Before I leave, I just want to say that you guys can follow us on Facebook at Nomadic Voices and Instagram. We are having more creative events coming soon. Our last event, which dealt with, it was a poetry night on Black History, has been postponed because of weather, so stay tuned. We'll have more that event coming up as well. Thank you.
Bravo. I should have said poetic interlude more than musical interlude. All right, so next on the program, thank you, Tabo. Next on the program will be Major Melissa Jones. And I will give an introduction first for Major Jones, Major Dr. Jones, and then she will speak. So, Major Melissa J. Jones, MD, and also Masters in Public Health. Major Melissa Jones, MD, MPH, is a United States Army officer and is an energetic and highly skilled physician with 9 years of experience in pediatrics, including completion of Pediatric Infectious Diseases Fellowship in 2019. Major Jones was born in Fort Benning, Georgia, to two active duty Army parents. She was raised and received her primary education right here in Utica, New York. She graduated magna cum laude from Syracuse University, went on to earn her medical degree from the University of Rochester School of Medicine and Dentistry, graduating with distinction in community service. Having been a recipient of a scholarship from medical school, Major Jones went on to complete pediatric residency at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center right in Bethesda, Maryland. Upon completion of a residency, she was awarded a Joint Service Accommodation Medal. Following completion of pediatric residency, Major Jones was stationed at West Point Military Academy as a general pediatrician, providing outpatient, inpatient, and newborn nursery care. While at West Point, she was deployed to the Middle East as a field surgeon with the 581st ASMC, where she was awarded an Army Commendation Medal for her service. Following her deployment, Major returned to West Point, and upon completion of the assignment was awarded MSM, a Meritorious Service Medal. Major Jones returned to Walter Reed National Medical Center and completed a fellowship in infectious diseases, while at the same time earning a Master of Public Health from the Uniformed Services University in 2019. When she finished her fellowship, she was again awarded a Joint Service Accommodation Medal. Presently, Major Jones is a pediatric infectious disease doctor at Tripler Army Medical Center in beautiful Hawaii and is actively involved in the physician training program. She provides exceptional medical care to a diverse patient population, including giving expert advice to clinicians in outlying military treatment facilities in Japan, Korea, and Guam via telehealth. She is the chair of the Tripler Residency Research Committee, which aims to support resident scholarly activity. She is actively involved in clinical research, serving as the principal investigator for 3 IRB-approved protocols. She has numerous peer-reviewed publications and has presented her research at local, national, and international levels. Major Jones is passionate about mentoring. Major Dr. Jones is passionate about mentoring improving patient outcomes, and clinical research. She enjoys life with her incredible husband and their precocious 4-year-old daughter. Notably, Major Jones shares a close relationship with her mother, Pastor Angela U. Carter, also of Utica, New York. And without further ado, Major Melissa Jones.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to begin by thanking the Utica Oneida branch of the NAACP for inviting me to speak today. I'd also like to send a virtual hug and hello to my mother, Pastor Angela Carter. I sincerely appreciate that warm introduction, and I'm delighted to share my perspectives on this year's themes, Black health and wellness. You can begin sharing my slides. And you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So first, I have a required disclaimer. The views expressed in this presentation are those of my own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Department of the Army, Department of Defense, or the US government. Next slide. Today, we will consider the theme of Black health and wellness by discussing first the tremendous contributions Blacks have made to the medical field. Next, the current state of Black health in the United States. And lastly, ways to improve one's health starting today. Next slide. So oftentimes the contribution of Black Americans in our society are simplified or pigeonholed to the arenas of entertainment and sports. However, as has already been so eloquently pointed out by Miss Amaya and Ayana and Morgan, since the arrival to the United States as enslaved persons, Black Americans have played a prominent role in the medical field, impacting not only the health of other Blacks, but American society as a whole. Consider the legendary Harriet Tubman, who we most commonly know for her role as the conductor of the Underground Railroad, but I also want to highlight her work as a nurse during the Civil War, caring for both newly freed slaves in South Carolina, as well as providing care for wounded Black soldiers. Next, consider Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler, the first Black female physician in the United States, who in the late 1800s published an entire medical textbook titled A Medical Discourse in 2 parts. And anyone who knows the challenges of publishing any medical material will understand what a big feat that was in the late 1800s for a Black woman to produce a textbook that was published widely. And her textbook entailed information about child and adolescent health and also described preventative medicine. And then lastly, Dr. Eliza Greer, who's pictured here, was the first Black female physician in the state of Georgia, who started off working as a nurse, but soon came to realize that Black women were not being well supported during childbirth, and thus she decided to become a doctor and became an OBGYN. Next slide. Black Americans have not only excelled as doctors and nurses, but through our research and scientific discovery, we're also innovators in the understanding, diagnosis, and treatment of human disease. This is crucial to understand because the work of Black people has greatly impacted the way we practice the entire field of medicine. Just a few remarkable innovators are depicted on this slide, and I encourage you to review their contributions in further detail if you're not familiar with them already. Briefly, Dr. Hinton was a bacteriologist and pathologist who developed a world-renowned and highly accurate test to diagnose syphilis. Percy Julian was a chemist who was instrumental in synthesizing many medications in his laboratory, including hydrocortisone, a medication that I'm certain all of us are familiar with in one capacity or another. The work of Marie Daly, a microbiologist, contributed to our current understanding of how high cholesterol leads to high blood pressure. And lastly, Dr. Vivian Thomas, a laboratory supervisor, worked alongside a physician to develop a surgical procedure to treat heart defects in infants. Next slide. Our impact in the medical profession continues and is growing. Over the last 2 decades, we've seen Blacks not only contribute to the health of Americans, but actually lead the charge. Dr. Corbett a virologist at the National Institutes of Health, played a monumental role in the development of the Moderna vaccine against SARS-CoV-2, and is now a spokesperson and an active vaccine advocate working to eliminate COVID in this country. The American Medical Association, or the AMA, is a professional organization with over 240,000 physician members. And this organization was led in 2019 by a Black woman, Dr. Patrice Harris. And finally, the 20th Surgeon General of the United States, Dr. Jerome Adams, was on the forefront of the COVID-19 pandemic and was the fourth Black American to hold the role of Surgeon General of the United States. Here's the bottom line. Black Americans have contributed significantly to the care and health of Black Americans during a time when we had limited or no access to medical care. We have been innovators and leaders in this medical profession, and therefore we can only conclude that good health and wellness is our God-given inheritance as Black Americans. Next slide. Now, let's shift gears to discuss the current status of Black health in America. For context, I think it's important to consider the definition of health, which is a state of being where one is free from illness or injury. Today, I want to focus on the status of Black health as it relates to diseases of the human body, keeping in mind that the concept of health can be applied to many aspects of a person's being and not just physical manifestations of disease, which has already been pointed out today. To lay the foundation, I want us to first consider all causes of death in the United States. This figure comes from the National Center of Health Statistics and lists in order from top to bottom the causes of death in the United States for the year 2019 and 2020. When we consider the top three causes of death, we see that by far and away, heart disease and cancers are the leading causes, followed by COVID-19. And so this applies to all Americans. Next slide. This next figure helps us see the racial distribution of death from all causes, as were previously listed, for the year 2019 and 2020. I highlight in red the finding that the death rate was the highest among Black, non-Hispanic males and females as compared to any other racial group. Next slide. Three major diseases that lead to premature death are high blood pressure, diabetes, and stroke. This graphic from the CDC shows rates of these diseases among Blacks, which are shown by the maroon bars, as compared to whites, which are shown in the light blue bars. Here we see that young African Americans, so that age group 35 to 49, are impacted by diseases that are typically more common at older ages and at a far greater rate than whites. Next slide. Focusing now on the COVID-19 pandemic, this bar graph from the Kaiser Family Foundation shows differences in hospitalizations and death rates for Blacks as compared to whites as a result of COVID-19. In sum, the differences, also termed disparities, that we have reviewed, this higher death rate, the higher prevalence of preventable disease, and worse outcome from COVID-19, all represent the significant health disparities that are present in our country and experienced by Blacks. Next slide. There is ongoing work to understand why these disparities exist in the United States. And the answer is actually not as straightforward as one would think. Health, that concept of the absence of illness or injury, is determined by multiple factors. As pictured here, health starts at the individual level, but is impacted by community and systemic drivers. So experience like racism, implicit bias, microaggression, and discrimination all result in stress, which directly impacts health. My sister, the brilliant Dr. Cassandra Carter, will discuss this in further detail as I conclude. That's my precocious 4-year-old daughter there. And as I conclude, I'd like to shift focus to both the individual factors and health care access factors that impact health. At the personal level, health is impacted by personal choices that we make. While it is not the only factor, our personal health habits can be enhanced to contribute to the overall improved health. As a person who gives a lot of advice to my patients, it's very difficult for me not to use this opportunity to give some tips on habits you can begin today to improve your overall health. And this isn't anything new, and it's already even been discussed this morning. Simple changes such as getting good sleep, drinking water, increasing your activity, eating fresh food, spending time outside every day, even bundling up in cold upstate New York, and trying to get outside every day, practicing gratitude, and having healthy relationships all make a world of difference in an individual's health. These small changes improve individual health, which then impacts the health of our community as a whole. Next slide. And then when considering access to quality healthcare, this is referring to the ability to be seen in a healthcare facility when you need it, and also refers to ensuring that you're receiving good healthcare. Good healthcare refers to compassionate and knowledgeable medical providers with interest and investment in your health. Black patients should feel empowered, and all patients really should feel empowered to speak up and advocate for their own health to ensure that they are heard. Listed here are 7 things that you can do at your next doctor visit to be your very best advocate. Before your visit, feel free to take notes about your symptoms and reference that during your visit. Know your family medical history. Know what medications you're taking and what allergies you have to decrease medication errors. Take notes during your visit and ask questions. Make sure that you understand what is being said to you. We are our best advocates. Don't feel ashamed or guilty for asking questions about your own health. Make sure to communicate with your doctor between visits if things are not going as you expected. Well-trained medical professionals welcome this sort of patient relationship. And also take time to select a doctor, a primary care doctor that you trust and have a healthy relationship with. Next slide. Blacks, in conclusion, Blacks have made amazing contributions to the American healthcare field, starting with our ancestors who were enslaved. Presently, we are leaders in this field, and the health and wellness that we discussed are ours to inherit. Although we're making strides in this country, there are still significant health disparities that exist and need to be evaluated, understood, and eliminated. There are so many factors that contribute to health as Black Americans, but at the individual level, there are things that you can do today to start experiencing that better health and wellness we discuss. I sincerely thank you for having me speak today, and I wish you peace, blessings, and good health. Next slide. If there are any questions, or please feel free to reach out to me at any time. That my email address is listed there. I'd be more than happy to talk with you. Thank you.
Dr. Major Jones. All right, next we're going to thank you for some of our donors to the NAACP. So I want to introduce our Vice President of the local NAACP chapter, Dave Mathis. David Mathis is going to come up and talk for a little bit about our donors.
Thank you, Joe, and thank all of you who are here and who are, stand on the X. Okay, I am now standing on the X so you can all hear me. As I said, Joe, thank you, and I want to thank all of those who have been sponsors, in particular, the Bank of Utica and their president, Tom Sennett. They have been our prime sponsor. As you know, the NAACP, the last couple of years, 2020 and 2021, we were not able to have our Freedom Fund dinner, which is our major fundraiser. So we will be looking forward to hopefully having it this year, but we are looking for and continue to look for sponsors. The work of the NAACP is very important to our community. It doesn't happen without those of you looking to dig into your pocket and to make a contribution. We know that there will be additional sponsors who will be contributing to this event, and I want to thank them for that. I also want to once again thank the Oneida County Historical Center for being a part of our program today, and look forward to continued success and partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you, David. All right, next on our program, we have St. Matthew's Temple Praisers. So a musical interlude. Oh, and they're here. Okay. They're here on site. All right. So I'm going to make room for the St. Matthew's Temple Praisers.
We are high next. See if we can get you.
Good.
You should sing loud.
Sing loud. Okay. We're so grateful and thankful for being here. As you see, our dynamics have changed a little bit. Some of us aren't here, but we're going to do the best we can to the glory of God. So take all mistakes in love. Hallelujah. Salvation and glory, honor and power unto the Lord our God. For our Lord our God is mighty. Yes, the Lord our God is omnipotent. The Lord our God, He is wonderful. Hallelujah. Salvation and glory, honor and power unto the Lord our God. For the Lord our God is mighty. Yes, the Lord our God is omnipotent. The Lord our God, He is wonderful. All praises be to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He is wonderful. Oh, praises be to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He is wonderful. Hallelujah. Salvation and glory, honor and power. He is wonderful. We sing. Hallelujah. Salvation and glory, honor and power. He is wonderful. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. He is wonderful. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. He is wonderful. Oh, praises be to the King of Kings and the honor and power. He is wonderful. Oh, praises be to the salvation and glory
one. He is one.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful. St. Matthew Singers. Wow. That is not easy to sing a cappella like that. All right. Next we have keeping the musical theme going for a little bit. Next we have a performer, a rapper, a performer, Leeky XIV. Leeky XIV is going to take it over for us. Some of you in Utica are probably familiar with him. I think he performed downtown too in Utica before. So Leeky XIV, take it away. Get started in just a moment here. Just bear with us. Making some adjustments for his microphone.
Hello, Mike. What's up, everybody? My name is Leeky XIV, Leeky XIV. Happy Black History Month. It's like almost that. Good day, good day. So truck along and grab a hold up on it, for it's too late, yeah. Say what you want, say really what you want. It's been a minute since you had a good day, yeah. Truck along, you know, just truck along and grab a hold up on it, for it's too late. Say what you want, say really what you want. It's been a minute since you had a good day. Really swear I mean it, good time, take a tour. In your heart there's a reason, better habits never lacking. Be prepared for all the seasons, they ain't say it back then. So I yell it right now, if you go get locked in, you should have your own crown. Think I lost my patience, have you seen it around town? Back to my creation, been perfecting my sound. It's been minutes since you had a good day, yeah. Just truck along, you know, just truck along and grab a hold up on it, for it's too late, yeah. Say what you want, say really what you want. It's been a minute since you had a good day, yeah. Just truck along, you know, just truck along and grab a hold up on it, for it's too late, yeah. Say what you want, say really what you want. Say what you misunderstood, ain't even the word. Yeah, we all could use some healing in the world. I know it hurts, I go do some good. I gotta say it first, get away from all this evil, man. We all could use a purge, I mean we should. I put mine in my verse, giving out all of my feelings, man. It's kind of like a curse, so what's it look? I swear it's not the words, you can try it all out too. Move like I'm the living proof. It's been a minute since you had a good day, yeah. Just truck along, you know, just truck along and grab a hold up on it, for it's too late, yeah. Say what you want, say really what you want. It's been a minute since you had a good day, yeah. Just truck along, you know, just truck along and grab a hold up on it, for it's too late, yeah. Say what you want, say really what you want, say what you want. That song's called Truck Along. This one is called Chances, because it's important. We take some chances in life. Yeah, I'm trying to advance, yeah, counting my advances. When we go, we count it, we never. Doo-doo. We ain't got no time to go thinking about the past. Yeah, I'm trying to advance, yeah, counting my advances. When we go and count it, we never stop. See it in my pants, yeah, it's why I'm dancing. Yeah, I see them plotting, I got him in, what's up? Why they always glancing? Got him in a frantic, yeah, we really coming, we want it, it's not a front. All about the chance, yeah, gotta take some chances, gotta take a chance, yeah, you gotta take a risk, but to get up off that ground, yeah, we all could use a lift. Ain't no person built with wings, but somehow we all can fly. Put a man up on the moon, so don't ever ask me why can't I go be the one? Why couldn't it just be you? If you all believe in me, you think I believe in you, you can get up on my team and can make your dreams come true. I forget about the things that just don't go leave a ring. We ain't got no time to go thinking about the past. Yeah, I'm trying to advance, yeah, counting my advances. When we go and count it, we never stop. See it in my pants, yeah, that's why I'm dancing. Yeah, I see them plotting, I got him in, what's up? Why they always glancing? Got him in a frantic. Yeah, we really coming, we want it, it's not a front. All about the chance, yeah, gotta take some chances. Pep talks in the mirror, that's who I can relate to. Invested in this music, that place I can't escape to. It's never been clearer, there's nothing it equates to. Earthquakes could shake this whole place. Kendrick said it'd be okay, so I know it'd be okay. Stay away from my old place, that's just where they gone. Stay passing by, I'm like, late should I drop it like, wait man, I finished my whole plate. Mama wish that we gone day, but I'm stuck on my own day. About the past, yeah, I'm trying to advance, yeah, counting my advances. When we go, we count it, we never stop. See it in my pants, yeah, that's why I'm dancing. Yeah, I see them plotting, I got him in, what's up? Why they always glancing? Got him in a frantic. Yeah, we really coming, we want it, it's not a front. All about the chance, yeah, gotta take some chances, gotta take some. This song is called Living Proof. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, guys. I think I'm really superhuman. I think I can see the future. They was doubting on the present, so I had to rap it to them. I could see it in their eyes, that they not really alive. If you start to run into them, then you'll start to run into them, and you'll turn into a creature. I can say it all firsthand. I've been fighting off my demons. How you hating on the man? I've been inside for the weekend, so you know we got a plan. Y'all could never understand, no, y'all could never understand, because we move different over here. Real smooth, real cool. If you see me out in public, you know I'm a real dude, and I hope we say the same about you. But you know that ain't true. Yeah, you know that ain't true. When you've been the world ain't black and white, there's some gray up in it too, and you'll never catch a spark if you haven't got a fuse. I learned it all from Goku. I get better when I lose. Right by you on the track, you can't zoom around and cruise. You can't hang around the game. You can't what's about a bruise. We got blood all in the bowl. Homie, hold up with that. Let me drop that in the stew. Never telling what we do. Yeah, we twice as good as you. Yeah, we twice as good as you, because we move different over here. Real smooth, real cool. If you see me out in public, you know I'm a real dude, and I hope we say the same about you. But you know that ain't true. Yeah, you know that ain't true when you've been the living proof. Take off, I hope that we take off. Yeah, I hope we take off. I hope that we take off. Yeah, I hope we take off. I hope that we take off. Yeah, I hope we take off. I hope that we take off, because we move different over here. Real smooth, real cool. If you see me out in public, you know I'm a real dude, and I hope we say the same about you. But you know that ain't true. Yeah, you know that ain't true when you've been the living proof. It's my last song today. This song is called Turtle. Thank you guys for having me one more time. My name is Leeky XIV. Shout out to NCAA. Shout out the Oneida County Historical Society. Shout out everybody. Peace, love, and happiness. This last song is called Turtle. I wrote this at the beginning of the pandemic, almost 2 years ago now, which doesn't seem right. And it's about my whole mindset at the time, being inside, like working on my craft and doing what I love. Came a lot of positives. Like, even though there's a lot of negatives in a situation, you can grow out of it. You can find a lot of positives. That's what this song's about. Look, Please don't watch me, nah, you should watch TV. I don't even come around no more unless they need me. Who got all my energy? They cut the leeches. I got all this guidance though, shout out to my teachers. I've been cooped up like a turtle in a shell. I know I'm set from heaven, but it's time to give them hell. Got some things up in my mind, didn't know if you could tell. Got some friends that I could call, but I'm not doing so well, oh well. To paint a perfect picture, does it take a perfect brush? Does it take a perfect artist? Am I thinking way too much? Is it worth it every time you go and step up in the booth? If you're not going your hardest, what's your word? What's your truth? I've been nice since when I started, had the juice up in my youth. Found what it mean to me, so find what it mean to you. I hope we came to do what we all just came to do, and it's like my only calling was a so please don't watch me, nah, you should watch TV. I don't even come around no more unless they need me. Who got all my energy? They feel like some leeches. I got all this guidance though, shout out to my teachers. I've been cooped up like a turtle in a shell. I know I'm set from heaven, but it's time to give them hell. Got some things up in my mind, didn't know if you could tell. Got some friends that I could call, but I'm not doing so. They might get me, but they not with me. I'm the only one in my head. When I turn 50, oh, she with me. That's my wifey up in my bed. When it gets late at night and we think inside what we doing up in this hell. Alone in my mind now, but I feel safe now, just like a turtle up in the shell. They might get me, but they not with me. I'm the only one in my head. When I turn 50, I hope she with me. That's my wifey up in my bed. When it gets late at night and we think inside what we doing up in this hell. I'm in my mind now, but I feel safe now, just like a turtle up in the shell. That's my time. My name is Leeky XIV. My music's on all platforms. Thank you so much for having me today. You guys are awesome. You guys are beautiful. Peace, love, prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you, Leeky 14. All right, next I'll be introducing, take a deep breath first. First I'll be introducing Dr. Cassandra Carter. So Dr. Cassandra Carter, brief introduction. So Dr. Carter was born in Fort Benning, Georgia, and was raised and received her primary education right here in Utica, New York. She graduated cum laude from the University at Albany and went on to earn her doctorate in sociology from the same school. Dr. Cassandra Carter is a lead associate at Booz Allen Hamilton, a consulting firm with over a decade of experience working with disadvantaged populations. Dr. Carter currently works as a contractor for the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare as a task leader. She previously worked at the Office of Justice Programs, Office of Juvenile Delinquency Prevention, Research and Evaluation Team as a task leader. Before joining Booz Allen Hamilton, Dr. Carter served as a researcher and technical assistance manager at Advocate for Human Potential Incorporated in Albany, where she focused on health disparities research, HIV and AIDS, and was the field coordinator for SAMHSA, or the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Some of her expertise is in the areas of grant-based program management, performance measurement, and health equity research. She has a passion with working for youth and empowering the stakeholders of youth to improve the services provided to young people. Dr. Carter is an action-based researcher committed to the academic world and the public sector, as evidenced by community contributions. She's an adjunct professor of sociology, a Zumba instructor, and an active board member of the DC Family and Adoption Agency. Dr. Carter is also the daughter of Pastor Angela U. Carter of Utica, New York. So, without further ado, Dr. Cassandra Carter.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here, having been from the Utica community and going to Proctor High School, as well as being a member of the Young Scholars program and other endeavors, I have a deep understanding and connection of the community. And I just want to say thank you for having us here. As I was being introduced, I did hear some of the important things that I want to say. I come to you as a Zumba instructor, as an adjunct professor in sociology. I also work with the Center for Medicaid and Medicare, but I don't say all of that to just share these are things that I do. I've been able to interact with the health system and understand systemic inequalities in a deep and meaningful way. And it is my passion to make sure that you understand it as well. And not only that you live in the world and exist, but you thrive. So today's discussion is going to be brief. I think one of the worst things you can do is ask an instructor to speak for only 10 minutes, but I will abide by the time. And with our remaining 9 minutes, we're going to talk a little bit about the theme of this year for the NAACP, and then go over some definitions with racial health disparities and get a little bit into COVID-19. But I want to focus on the role of social policy in promoting health equity, and then empower you to think more about your role that you can play in promoting health equity. So I know you've been sitting for a while, so I just want to do a quick interactive activity. If you can just respond in the chat and let me know what you feel is the biggest health challenge facing Black communities today. So there is no right or wrong answer. I just kind of want to gauge what your thoughts are related to that. Okay, access, hypertension. Some of you are messaging me privately. Mental health. Okay, great. Insurance, lack of insurance coverage, education. Okay, so I just wanted to get a benchmark to see where you're at. And it's good that you're already touching on a lot of our larger systemic issues. So before we get into some of the basics of health equity and some of the themes that I want you to walk away with today understanding, I first want to talk about the theme and this celebration. Black populations have a dynamic relationship with the health system. When we think about health disparities, as well as our interaction with the health system, going back to the first Black sociologist, W.E.B. Du Bois, he conducted the first census that actually uncovered a lot of the health disparities that are still present today. And of course, I can't get into all of them. Major Jones did a great job in kind of giving you some highlights, but I guess I'll claim Ben Carson today. But just his separation of those conjoined twins, when we think about Harriet Tubman and the way that she was able to navigate the Underground Railroad, one of the things that people don't know is that she actually used the herbs from the landscape to quiet the babies, because along the trails they got sick. And this idea that there are other ways to actually cure our bodies have always been with us. And that is kind of an ode and a testament to this survival and this complex relationship that we have. So although we want to celebrate, I think it's a good departure because we're in an unprecedented moment to discuss health equity. And when we think about health equity, it's hard to define because it's never been done before. So now I'm going to just get into teaching you some basic terminologies about health equity and how I want you to be thinking about it. So health equity, as defined, is the absence of disparities or avoidable differences among socioeconomic and demographic groups in geographic areas such as health status, outcomes, and disease. So a health disparity is a significant difference. It's closely linked to social, economic, and environmental disadvantage. So there's a powerful and complex relationship that exists between health, biology and genetics, and individual behavior. So when we think about our health systems and our health service, there's actually an interaction between the physical environment. So when we think about structural things like discrimination, racism, literacy level, and legislative policies, they actually all come together to interplay to impact health. And I think this photo is one of my favorites to understand equity versus equality, because most people use them interchangeably, but they're very distinct. So when you think about equality, that's giving everyone the same thing. It's kind of like the idea that one size fits all. Doesn't matter your shape, your size, your color, we provide you the same thing. But what equity does is that it recognizes that we all have different starting points, right? So some people are taller, they're shorter, they may have certain limitations that other people don't have. So equity actually customizes the experience. So when we are talking about health equity and moving toward how to become equal, it actually is going to involve a very customized approach. And as you can see, the different cyclists have their particular types of bicycles. And that is really what equity looks like. So now I'm going to move on to the social determinants of health. And although Dr. Jones touched a little bit on this, what I find very striking is that about 80% of the health differentials can be attributed to social factors, meaning that although biology and genetics plays a strong role in disease outcomes and patterns, most of it is socially determined. So I'm sure you're all familiar with this concept of where we eat, where we play, where we work, where we worship, how we worship, age, and these types of things that impact our health functioning and our quality of life. What is important to understand and to kind of go into this larger framework that I'm trying to build is the concept of social justice. So this is a viewpoint that everyone deserves equal economic, political, and social rights despite who they are. So when you think about people like social workers, they actually aim to open the doors of access and give opportunities to people, particularly those that are in greater need. And then when we think about our neighborhoods, when we think about our communities, when we think about the economic stability, these are all of the building blocks of how we actually get to total health and wellness. So as we know, the world was turned upside down with this novel COVID-19 coronavirus. And the one thing that it did for sociologists is it magnified long existing patterns of health differentials. We know that Black Americans make up about 12.5% of the US population, but accounted for 22.4% of all COVID deaths. So the death rates per 100,000 as depicted on this bar chart shows that the rates with all groups, and I'm actually going to move to this other slide that I have to kind of support this, where you can see gender gaps. You can also see who is at a higher risk, and these are racial groups, and my sister actually shared some of these statistics. But it's important to look at things like income, like some of the mental impacts that COVID-19 have as we move toward talking about equity. So these factors, I already said that there are several things that are interrelated that lead to inequalities. But if we want to shift the focus to look at who's sick and who is well, there are a lot of structural conditions that foster these differences. According to the US Department of Homeland Security, you have to think about, during the pandemic, essential workers. So those are the people who conducted a range of operations and services that are typically considered essential and critical to the infrastructure. These infrastructures were a term that encompassed a lot of different things. But what we did know is that Black and Brown people were at the front line. They were the people that weren't allowed to work from home or in particular environments. So just that one example alone shows how your particular life status actually can determine, even if you get exposed to COVID, or if you're able to create a barrier or prevent yourself from becoming sick. So I'm not going to show this video today, but I did want to include it so that you can actually look it up on YouTube later. It's slightly hilarious, but it points to environmental racism. Again, as part of this conversation, we have to look at the world around us. So environmental racism is a concept, and it's more of an environmental justice movement that developed in the US maybe around the 70s and into the 80s, and it's becoming more central today, especially with what's going on in Flint, Michigan, I think is a good example that folks can relate to. And the term is used to describe the environmental injustice that occurs within a racialized context, both in practice and policy. So when you think about the United States, it looks at inequalities between urban neighborhoods. If you think about white flight, and these are some terms that people that actually study housing patterns look like. And I remember growing up in Utica thinking about Cornhill, and I'm like, hey, you can almost predict who's going to live where, and then later on connecting to sociology vocabulary to say, hey, there's actually a terminology to say why people are clustered into certain patterns. So please check this out when you have a little bit more time to understand more about the role that the environment plays. So, as many of you know, January of this year, the White House released executive order on advancing racial equity. Actually, it was last year. It was last January where Biden and his administration came up with this idea where he made a call to all federal agencies to actually show an action plan to make sure that they're moving on equity. So this same idea of consistent and systematic, fair, just, and impartial treatment for individuals. So when we think about our justice systems, when we think about the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Treasury, HUD, all of them are found wanting, and I can cite numerous studies that actually look at some of the impacts on social policies to say they actually are a large driver of some of these social inequalities that we see. But this order was actually aimed at making sure that these issues were addressed and dealt with. So with equity applied, this is the idea that you can actually apply an equity framework, meaning that you're looking at social justice and change your health policies. So when you systematically take into account the health implications of decisions and you seek synergies that avoid harmful health impacts in order to improve population health. And I'm just going to go back to some of the things where people said, you know, equitable care, quality of food, mental health, education. So you guys already know what needs to be done. Unfortunately, policymakers haven't caught on yet. So part of this thing is that the community needs to be present at the table and drawing their attention to things. The person who said, access to insurance ends up being a really large deal. And we saw with the Affordable Care Act where there was an attempt made to systematically give everyone health care. And the difference in just that 5-year period was actually astounding. The amount of people going to doctors, the amount of people getting checkups that were never able to get them before because of lack of affordable insurance. So when you think about health and equity, health literacy is huge. So when you provide people information to educate themselves about what is going on, how it's happening, people actually want that information. And health literacy, there still remains a large black-white gap, meaning that most people don't even understand what's going on. And if you think about something like diabetes, for the longest time, communities of color would say, oh, they have sugar, or, oh, like, you know, their leg just had to be cut off because of a reason, not looking at some of the other social connections of those things. So now as we have access to more information, it's really digging through that digital divide and providing access to accurate information, resources, which leads to better decision making. So I just want to spend the last few minutes talking about the future of health equity. So we know that we have demographers that are able to trace differences in inequality and help us prioritize health for particular groups. When you think about closing gaps to ensure a more fair and just society, you have to think about what the future calls for and relies on. So we have to continue to discuss different social aspects, and there are a lot of different potentials for how we can drive this forward, but I want to focus on what you as an individual can do. So the first thing is get involved. So the NAACP, one, they need members, they need people, but they need you to become active in health studies, identifying yourself as a person of interest. As a researcher, when looking at large data sets, there's always a disclaimer. This particular group needed to be oversampled because there weren't a lot of people in studies. When you think about clinical trials, focus group research, you all have a story and a testimony about your personal health, whether it's mental, physical, trauma related, that is important for research to be able to make some of these larger connections that are missing. The CDC actually has a wealth of resources, personal trainings, organizational assessments for those of you that work in large organizations, and it's important to be reviewing and staying on top of the latest and greatest guidance. And then of course, innovation. I think all of our healthcare systems across the board can use some out of the box thinking. Why is that? Because if you think about healthy people 2010, 2020, and even 2030, which are federal initiatives that seek to close the gap, they failed every year because they continue to do things the same way. So it really does call for an unconventional way of thinking and really bringing forth some new ideas. And it doesn't matter, you know, if you're in middle school or if you're retired, there is something for everyone because health does impact us all. And then my last piece of advice is teach, learn, and understand the impact that health has on other issues. When you think about workplace performance, the quality of marriage, the quality of your financial health and literacy, these things are all interconnected. And that's why it is actually so complex. So W.E.B. Du Bois, he has a quote that says, either America will destroy ignorance or ignorance will destroy the United States. So COVID is one way that we can think about inequality and how it can be dismantled. Health is physical, but it's also largely social. So just please remain safe, continue to strive toward health and wellness, and thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you, Dr. Cassandra Carter. Thank you very much. Okay, next, a few remarks about our membership information. So just to reiterate and reinforce that we always are looking for new members. Right now, on paper, we have approximately 87 members. However, I can't guarantee that they're all active. So we do need fresh blood in the NAACP, and there's a slide up right now about membership. So for adults, it's $30 for a year, very small price. If you're the youth price for 20 and under is $10, and the corporate amount is $5,000. You can go to the website, naacp.org. It's very easy. I'm not a computer genius, and I was able to do it like in less than 5 minutes. So if I can do it, all of y'all can do it too. So you just log on and go to, it'll ask you whether you're a new member or a renewing member. So if you already have a membership, you just renew it. If you're new, of course, you click on the new button, and it'll take you to a page where you can register, and they will gladly take your money very efficiently. So we will. Otherwise, if you want to do it the old school way, you can write a check out for $30 if you're an adult, $10 if you're 20 and under. And a corporate amount, if you want to send a corporate check, then get a hold of our president or any of the board officers. And you can send that check to NAACP. The local address is P.O. Box 236, Utica, New York, 13503. I'll say that again. P.O. NAACP, if you want to do it the old school way, write a check out, $30 for adults, $10 for 20 and under. Corporate check is unlimited, but what we have listed here on the page is $5,000. It can be less though. Anyway, Again, the address is NAACP, PO Box 236, Utica, New York 13503. And I monitor the mailbox, and I'll be picking them up as the treasurer. We hold monthly membership meetings, Utica, Oneida County NAACP, the second Monday of the month at 6 o'clock. Second Monday of the month, 6 o'clock. It's a Zoom meeting right now. We hope to meet virtually later on this year. For the email is listed up on the slide right there, naacputica.oneida@gmail.com. Second Monday of the month, 6 o'clock for our meetings, and you're welcome to join. Once you sign up, then you'll get a Zoom link. So please consider joining NAACP so we can fight for racial justice and economic justice for not only Black people, but all people. Thank you. That's all I have for membership. So next I'm going to introduce, to wind things down, Mr. Craig Grant. Craig Grant has been the chair for the Black History Month Committee for many years now, and he's going to lead you in some closing remarks. So Craig.
And thank you, Joe. You've done a tremendous job today. Thank everyone for Zooming in and being a part of the program today. I hope that you've got a lot of information. I hope that you enjoyed this event. I'd like to thank the Utica / Oneida County Branch NAACP for once again, putting this event on and thinking that it is important enough to do this, because when you hear about Black history, you see some remarks and opinions about Black History Month and what have you. Many of them are negative, unfortunately. But I thank the Oneida County Branch for doing it once again and having me to be a part of it. I'd like to thank the Oneida County History Center for hosting us once again. Our pastor president, Sharon Barr, is in the audience, and I'd like to just thank her. She is part of history in this community, as the church that she pastors, Hope Chapel AME Zion, is the oldest African-American church in this community, and certainly probably the Mohawk Valley. So just like to acknowledge her. I'd like to acknowledge all of our presenters, the doctors, Carter and Jones, for being part of our program and all that wonderful information. Hopefully that we've been enlightened with that and can make use of it. I'd like to thank St. Matthew's Temple Church of God in Christ and the praisers, St. Matthew Temple praisers, Maliik Johnson or Leeky XIV, Tabot, and Nomadic Voices. They certainly, Mohawk Valley Junior Frontiers, they've always helped us and they've done a tremendous job. Really like to see our young people be a part of that. Probably some other names, if I did not mention it, please only realize that since I'm slightly north of 60, my memory isn't what it used to be, but the brothers is trying. So I just wrote down a couple of thoughts, and I'd like to thank our heroes and sheroes, those whose shoulders, those giants whose shoulders that we stand on. And, because of their significant contributions that they made in the past, and sometimes they remained invisible. And I'd like to thank them because they etched out a blueprint for us for this work that we do. I'd like to thank the heroes and sheroes of the present, whose resolve we depend on, because they have to deal with remnants of the past, barriers and hurdles as well. And I'd like to pre-thank the heroes and sheroes of the future, because they will continue to navigate, to blaze trails and make our history relevant. Black health and wellness. We need to be healthy in mind, body, and spirit, or there will be no story. Peace and blessings.
Thank you very much, Craig. So, what's that? Oh, so we're going to have the closing benediction now from Evangelist Yvonne M. Irvin from St. Matthew's Temple. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. And happy Black History Month.
So my prayer for today. We pray that we can come together as people from different backgrounds and different walks of life, that we might join hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, to bring equity, diversity, and equality to this world. We pray that we will get a better understanding of each other. We pray that the things that have gone out today, people will understand that Black history is not just a short time, but it's a lifetime. We pray that you give those strength that are doing the work, that are paving the way, that have paved the way. We ask you that you bind us up in cords of love, that we might love one another. We ask you that you erase the hate, eliminate all the tension, and help those that are fighting the good fight, give them more strength from the top of their heads to the sole of their feet. And I say until we meet again, after the pandemic, when we can stand together, shake hands together, embrace one another in love, and say, we made it over. And so until I see you again, may the peace of God be with you. May the joy of him be your strength, and keep your head up. This will soon be over. Have a great day.
Excellent program.